Yeah, so he was
All set, Mr. Chair.
Thank
not
you.
complaining, but
Good afternoon. I'm now going to call the Wednesday, September 7th, 2022 meeting of the Norfolk County Commissioners to order. I'm going to call the roll. Commissioner Stady,
present.
Commissioner Collins,
Present.
Commissioner Shea is here. We have a quorum. On Thursday, March 12th, 2020, Governor Charles Baker issued an order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. That order was effective immediately and until it is rescinded or a state of emergency is terminated. On July 17th, 2022, by action of the legislature, that order was extended until March 31st, 2023. Thank you. If we can now ask you to stand and join with me in saluting the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We are live and on Zoom today, so-called hybrid. Call to order done, roll call done. Number 3, minutes of the executive session meeting held August 31st, 2022, as approved.
I'll move approval, Mr. Chairman, as presented.
And being held?
Yes, and being held until such time as they may be released.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote. Number 4, minutes of the open session meeting of August 31st, 2022 for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move approval of the open session meeting of August 31 as presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Number 5, minutes of the open session meeting of August 24th, 2022 for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move approval of the open session meeting minutes of August 24 as presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Number 7, public comment. Each week we set aside some time
Yeah, we keep going.
for public comment. Is there anyone in Zoom land that has any public comment for us today?
I'd like to say something if I could, Jeff.
Absolutely, Commissioner.
So I just had a primary race yesterday with Paul Yorkis from Medway. I just want to commend Paul for a fine campaign. He's a very nice person, a good man, and I enjoyed campaigning with him. He's a good person. I just want to congratulate him for a great race.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any comment? Do you have anybody?
No, sir.
written? Okay, last call for public comment. That's all for public comment. Number 8, appointments, we have none. Old business. Under
None.
old business.
None at this time, sir.
Thank you. Number 10, we have some personnel matters for consideration at the high school. One in the commissioner's office and one at the registry.
The registry was already done. We already took care of
We're
it.
removing that.
What, I'm sorry?
The registry is redundant. That was approved last week.
Okay.
It can be stricken.
We're moving on. That's already been done. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, with your permission,
sure.
I'll move the following for the Norfolk County Agricultural High School. Notice a contingent appointment for David Turee of Norfolk, Mass. As a substitute instructor at the rate stated effective 9/8/22. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
Second,
Next.
at the Aggie School, notice of appointment of Jessica Tebolt of Ashford, Connecticut as a day instructor at the rate stated, replacing Jessica Demora effective 9/8/22. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Next, the Commissioner's
We have one
office.
close to home, Commissioner's office. Notice of appointment of Mary Ann Casano of Walpole as human resource specialist at the rate started effective 9/12/22. She's starting this week,
Next Monday.
next Monday. Great. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
The registry was already done, Mr. Chairman.
Correct. I'm
All
sorry.
right.
That's redundant.
County, it says Family Medical Leave Act approval for employee. That typo?
We signed that paperwork last week, Dick,
Right.
and so we just have to make the motion on it, but you don't want to reveal the person's name.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Uh,
I was just going
it's
to
an
ask.
HR matter.
I wasn't sure. how you-
That's it.
Okay. Motion made and seconded on family medical leave.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
To the individual known to the county as applied.
We'll leave it as like that. Okay.
Okay.
The said individual is known to the county who applied for that that leave. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Number 11, July trial balance for approval. In your packet is the July trial balance.
Okay.
Director Cronin, comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will yield this point to our Assistant Treasurer, Joe Dioria, who is on our call. Joe, as you know, provides these monthly reports to us. This is the first one for FY23, so I'll let Mr. Dioria explain the highs and lows of the first trial balance of FY23 for you.
Okay, good afternoon, Joe.
Is he there?
He's muted.
Uh-oh.
Joe, can you hear us?
Sorry, it took me a minute to find my unmute button.
That's fine. Any comments on this? The July
No, I think
trial
it's pretty straightforward. July is usually a slow month for revenues, so you can see that the unappropriated balance that we ended June with has gone down drastically. That's, just because no revenue really comes in, and we have some large expenses in July with the retirement assessments and various insurance costs that have to be paid in upfront in July. So, but overall, it's pretty, normal.
Okay, great. Any
Chairman?
questions of,
Yep, if I could.
yes.
I could ask through you, of
Commissioner
course,
Stady.
through you to Joe. How's this compare to last year at this time? We took a snapshot of 7/31/21. How do we look, Joe? Are we going up, down, same?
Yeah, give me one second, I can tell you.
Yeah.
Right now, a little bit of revenues we did take in this July, we're up. We're up almost 200% from last July. And that's mainly because of Wollaston receipts. And expenditures we're currently running, we're spending like 7% more than we did last year, approximately.
Okay, interesting. So net wash, not bad. I saw with concern, one of the items put out by the registrar about the real estate market is slowing down, which we all probably are sensing. Although the property values are high, there seems to be a slowdown, so our receipts might start to trail off. So we want to keep an eye on that, but we seem like we're okay at this point still?
Yes, we don't have any registry numbers in July because they always turn the receipts over a month after.
Okay, yep,
So, and then the June stuff is recorded in June, but every other month, it's always a month behind.
okay,
So the July trial balance does not have any registry numbers for that month, so I can't really tell you how they compare to last year.
okay. So we probably need another month or two to get a more accurate look, right? Maybe?
Exactly.
Okay, I got you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, on the trial balances, any other questions, commissioners? July trial balance. I need a vote for approval.
All right. What's the exit number? Is 66 million? Is that right, John?
Yes, sir.
Is it 66? Yeah. All right, so I'll move the trial balance for fiscal, for 7/31/22 of $66,491,498.74. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded on the trial balance for 7/31/22. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks,
It is a
Joe.
vote.
Thank you, Joe. All right,
Payroll and expense warrant for approval.
here we go. All right. Got a long list, Mr. Chairman. This is the warrant list for 9/7/22, beginning first on line item 23-10, payroll of the county. Remove 140,000. Wait, this can't be right. There's a typo. Something's wrong. It says 14077.25. Is that, there's something wrong with that.
Well, we can take a look.
Yeah, we approve it. Is it top line? Is it? Something wrong?
If you want to proceed with the others, I'll get Phil to get you the last digit on that one. Stand
Okay,
by.
yeah, just want to make sure. I'll move on then. So we're going to hold the first one. I'm moving 23-10, parentheses 5, payroll of the school, $362,499.45. So moved.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. It is a vote.
Is it, oh,
We want to go back to the first one?
sure. Is it here?
The bottom line on those three.
Sure.
I think I missed the 7.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah, thank
Just
you.
wanted to make sure. So, Mr. Chairman, going
Yes.
back to line item 1, this would be line 23-10, payroll of the county. The correct amount is $140,777.25. So
Okay,
moved.
correct.
Right.
Thank
Corrected amount. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and
Extra
seconded.
7.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote. Thank you.
All right, third, line item 09-01-23, expense of the county, the amount $164,604.45. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Thank you.
Fourth, 23-03, expenses of school, $123,097.40. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote,
All right, we have several opera awards. Very good to hear.
right?
These are all operas. First one, 23-11, Opera Town of Dedham, $61,598.15. So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
Next one's the Town of Bellingham. There are two of them. 23-11, Opera Town of Bellingham, $95,000. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Thank
Next
you.
one, Town of Bellingham again, Opera, 23-11, $15,000. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
To the Town of Wellesley, pretty good one, APA, 23-11, the sum of $2,551,578.16. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, and one more, the Town of Rentham, 23-11, Rentham for receiving an APA grant, the amount of $367,820. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
One more.
Thank you.
Last one, Mr. Chairman. 9-722, Wallaston Recreational Facility credit card payment, the amount of $41,550.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? It
That
is a vote.
concludes our items for
Thank
today.
you. Number 13, dovetail to
Yeah.
the aforementioned opera warrants, but we'll explain them each. Director Cronin, four today.
5, Commissioner Shea.
That's good.
Thank you very much. Briefly, Commissioners, as Commissioner Stady just read, this afternoon before you are 5 ARPA applications. I noted in past weeks that although we have not awarded any grants, there had been significant activity in the portal with various communities moving, and that has resulted in the 5 you see before you. I should have at least 2 more next week as well. Incidentally, I just want to mention before I forget, Commissioner Stady, Stoughton has placed their single and only ARPA application in the portal successfully yesterday. So it is under review by Clifton Larson as we speak. But
Do you
going
have the
through,
amount on that?
it's the full amount. I believe it's 5.5.
So 5.5, that's what I thought. Okay, good. Thank you.
But just to
Thank you.
briefly explain to those assembled, the first grant that was previously read was from the town of Dedham. This particular item falls into the revenue replacement category. This item will be to replace costs incurred during the long-term impact of COVID, including the use of consultants and finance, which were under budgeted, and also to pay part of general operations. This particular funding of $61,598 does not include any debt service or other ineligible expenses. So Dedham has been very active with ARPA. Their finance director is very strong. John Arnett has submitted several of these revenue replacement items to clean up Dedham's books. So this afternoon, you've approved this particular one. And I believe Dedham will be pivoting now to other qualified areas within ARPA to complete their allotment. The second one is for the town of Bellingham, $95,000. This would be to replace the existing generator on Potter Drive that had been installed over 30 years ago and was a problematic infrastructure issue. That particular grant application falls under the very popular water and sewer category. The third item, as Commissioner Stady indicated, a large one to the town of Wellesley, totaling $2,551,578.16. This is a complex, large infrastructure water sewer project that involves improvements in drainage to Walnut Street, which is a major east-west route through Wellesley, traveling Route 16 to the Newton Town line for an approximate distance of 0.9 miles. The street has had stormwater problems and stormwater drainage issues. The funding that you've approved will allow the town to resurface, repair, and replace and upgrade the stormwater inlets and drains, and obviously resurface the area. This particular grant, which the town manager has been anxiously trying to get through, I have to salute Powers and Sullivan, who we worked with yesterday, as well as Clifton Larson, to help expedite this on behalf of town of Wellesley. Third item, so for the town of Rentham, this is $367,820. This particular item, excuse me 1 second, Mr. Chairman. Is under the public health category. Rentham's emergency radio system has been failing and is in dire need of replacement. The replacement, which we funded through this grant, was selected off of the state bid list. The project is necessary for the town to continue to combat the COVID-19 crisis by providing a substantial, sustainable, and predictable radio system for the town. Excuse me. I believe that might be the third radio infrastructure project that you have approved. Dover and Milton, I believe, are the others. The last one, Bellingham, a small $15,000 item. This particular item is under revenue replacement. Much like the town of Dedham, Bellingham has been very active assigning some of the smaller items to revenue replacement. In this area, they're improving their town common, which promotes alternative outdoor venues for public assembly. This particular work will be to restore a focal point of the area, including electrical work and other infrastructure issues. Again, this is revenue replacement, $15,000 for Bellingham. So those 5 grants represent now, I believe, over $25 million awarded by the commissioners to the communities within Norfolk County. I want to also point out that yesterday we had a conference call. The multiple counties had a meeting with the auditors. We will be, through our auditors, promoting a video training aid for the communities to understand how to properly use public bidding contracts. If anyone wants to take a step back and look at the ARPA grants in several years and look at a trend of audits, I would predict that the federal government will be most interested in the procurement angle of any such expenses. Obviously, this is a considerable amount of money. We are committed to making sure that all the communities understand the biddable guidelines that the federal government is providing. After a year, our auditors recognize there's a lot of disparate understanding about how to use the public bidding contracts available through the state, federal guidelines, and so forth. We believe that a video tool, which can be promoted to the communities throughout southeastern Massachusetts, will be a big benefit for everybody to understand how to do it. So that will be forthcoming. And again, just another reason why selecting Clifton Larson and Powers Sullivan was a great idea. They're way ahead of their peers, understanding the need to coach up and allow the communities to follow the most efficient and proper path for the preparation of these bids. So that is all I have on ARPA this week, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Any more comments on the opera disbursements today to the following towns: Dedham, Bellingham, Wellesley, and Rentham?
Well, first of all, it's great to see again some of our neighboring towns taking advantage of it, and hearing that Stoughton House and the Portal is music to my ears as well. It's outstanding that Norfolk County is doing such a great job. It's a tribute to our staff and to having a program in place. It's just, let's keep it rolling, let's keep it going. You know, it's fantastic. It really is. It's still, though, what befuddles me, that there's still some towns, though, that haven't got involved yet. That's the thing that's kind of weird, that, you know, there's still a few towns out there. Maybe, like I said, maybe in November, we can maybe start looking at reaching out to them and see what's going on. But I talked to the Sharon administrator. I can't do, know his name, but I think Mr. Thorndike, maybe, or
Fred Turkington.
He had said they were going to have something in, and I know that, you know, Canton is still evaluating options here. So, you know, the Bulldogs got to get in there too. But overall, it's good.
Some communities, including Canton, I think the reason we haven't seen so much activity commission is probably to do with the transition of leadership.
Yeah,
and that was the case with that may be the case with Foxborough too.
Yeah,
so I do see some of that in play.
All right. Good job. That's good news. When's Quincy stepping up again? They got a bunch.
Well, we grabbed 7 million already. Right?
Yeah, but
Oh, 4.
Yeah, 4. I thought it was 4. It was just 4, Mr.
I'm
That's all
sorry.
right.
He'll be back.
He'll be
I
back.
guarantee you.
All right.
The
And
wheels-
Brookline, they came in to visit us, so they'll be,
Yeah, they were close. Again, a community that's probably going to bundle quite a lot at once.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
how I understood it.
All
They
right.
they had prioritized and surveyed their community, and another angle there is their leadership. I think there was
Yeah.
some vacancy at the top there, so might slow down what they're doing, but yeah, they've been definitely active.
all right, excellent. Very good. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Anyone out in Zoom land who wants to comment on these awards to opera awards to Dedham, Bellingham, Wellesley, and Rentham? Okay, good job. Number 14, bid openings.
We're actually 5 minutes early on that, Joe. Why don't you move to the next one?
Okay, we're a little early for a bid opening. Number 15, that's
Wait,
tied into 14 a little
Yeah.
bit.
yeah.
How about number 16, fiscal year second budget adjustment?
That will
Director.
take quite a while.
Okay, we'll jump by, go to 7, go to,
I can give you a 5-minute primer on the overall update of the.
okay, and then we'll have
American
Nancy
Rescue
in. Thank you.
Sure.
There we go.
So just to repeat, yesterday we had a at the request of the auditors to discuss the status of how to firm up a more streamlined procurement discipline. We're looking forward to the production of a YouTube video that each county can put up on its website and promote to the communities. During the conversation, Plymouth was the only county that was not on the call, but we do, to your point, Commissioner Stady, plan to ask for a date in the fall when we can convene with commissioners from the other other counties, preferably in Plymouth County. That will follow up next week when we have our call with Commissioner Treasurer O'Brien. Within the American Rescue Plan Act, I just want to also point out that this afternoon we'll be talking about the second budget adjustment / supplemental in preparation for next week's advisory board meeting. As I've stated previously, the county is now going to be pivoting after this advisory board to embrace some of the opportunities for funding infrastructure projects and other eligible projects within Norfolk County using the funds that we've set aside for our project use. You'll be hearing about those in the fall, but you may recall when we passed the FY23 capital budget that we presented a notion of how we ought to look at the optimal use of funds for ARPA within the county. One of them was related to improving the heating at one of our courts. One of the reports I wish to give you is that I reached out to the state trial court facility manager and asked for his assistance working with our facility team to have a meeting of the minds to collectively understand what kind of systems are each of the courthouses across the state looking at from an efficiency standpoint, from an economic and of course environmentally friendly standpoint. Many of our courts are older. They're heated by fossil fuel. In one particular case, the heat is generated and made into steam, so we have steam heat. So any conversions or deviations from those core types of heating systems can be quite costly, well beyond what ARPA can afford. So I reached out to the state to find out, what are other counties doing, what are other communities within the state system looking at for these solutions. They have on staff engineers and individuals who are dedicated to this process. So before we take a step with writing any scope or putting out to bid any heating solutions vis-a-vis ARPA, I thought it best to talk with the state first and get their feedback. That meeting has not been scheduled, but I envision that to be sometime in October or November.
Would that be, if I could,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner.
it ties into something that we may have talked about a week or two ago, or it came up in one of our meetings, the idea of an energy audit of our facilities, all our facilities.
Mhm.
Would that be something that we could tie in to an ARPA
Absolutely.
grant that we could look at?
Absolutely.
We had talked about that, maybe.
That's my goal.
Yeah,
I think-
that, you mentioned that.
Mhm.
So that would be great. And in terms of solutions for all of our buildings, not just the courts, but,
Yep.
all the different buildings.
I think I
Include the
previously
school.
mentioned the
Yeah.
same call with the trial court facility manager. We talked a little bit about some of the so-called solutions that are out there now, including heat pumps for large commercial or
Right.
public buildings. He was highly skeptical of the use and application of those.
Hmm.
They don't have a lot of proven use in large scale settings in the
Mhm.
Northeast. according to him. He spoke from his own previous experience and said, if you're looking for significant energy savings, you'll find them in other areas, including more electronic applications to throttle your heating and cooling systems within a building. Many people still don't have programmable systems that can monitor and control the heat and cooling systems throughout the year. And furthermore, there are ways through Windows and other solar ports where you can diminish the heat gain during summer season and also cut down on your cooling costs. So he said in his previous experience, he saved over 30% on those methods alone. The installation of highly efficient, so-called environmentally friendly heating systems, he said, have not proven out yet. But we'll learn more when we sit down with them and find out, well, not to say no to those options, but where can we meet the economic and efficient heating system world or market and find out how to make our systems more efficient. That's really what the skull session will be all about.
So the call by some, to say go to all electric might not be proper at this point, based on some of the stuff you're hearing, right?
It could, that's an accurate statement. I think when you say electric, most people would interpret that to be the heat pump solutions, which is a proven technology. I'm not here to say it's not, but what I'm hearing from vendors and experts that have done this on a larger scale, they have seen poor performance of heat pumps for large commercial and public spaces. But let's learn more. Let's find out why they're not, or if they're emerging or evolving, when might they be? Where have they been installed? Can we go look at them? We're looking at spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on the future needs of our heating systems, primarily in our courts. And so we want to make sure the steps we take, the state agrees with them, and we're not going to be the beta. We're not going to be the ones that prove to be the solution to future problems. We want to make sure when we invest, it's correct.
Okay.
But I like the energy audit. That's something we can look at down the road as well. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did I get you to 130?
Yeah, you did.
Right on the button.
You did.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Director Cronin.
You're welcome.
Number 14, bid openings at 1:30 PM. Renovation of the bathroom at the Norfolk County Administration Building.
So while Nancy comes in, this is bids associated with the 2 bathrooms on the first floor and the ladies' room on this floor. So we
Good.
have some idea of what the cost will be.
Nancy, the floor is yours for the next 2 items.
Okay, we received one bid from Vintage Properties Incorporated out of Western Mass. They've bid $124,880.
Any comments, any questions? We'll be taking these under advisement, right? The only one bid?
Yes.
If I could.
Sure.
Is it unusual just to get one bid? Any reason? we didn't get more?
Sometimes, 5 went out. I think it basically depends sometimes on the workload different contractors have. It's not unusual. It's not all the
Now,
time.
I've heard that name before, Vintage. So we have affiliation with them, don't
No.
we? I thought we had. I thought I heard it before. My bad.
Oh, they bid on the acoustical ceilings that
Yeah, yeah.
opened, yes.
No, I
But-
thought, yeah, for that. I thought.
Yes,
I'm
yeah,
saying.
no, I thought you meant previous work
No,
experience.
I
we
just
don't have
meant like,
previous work
they've been
experience.
on.
Yes, they did
So-
it on the acoustical ceilings.
Any way of checking their background on this particular job? Or-
Yeah, I'll check all the references and everything.
All right. Tricky with one bid. Thanks. All right. All right.
Motion taken under consideration?
Yeah, move. it.
Seconded?
Second.
Motion to take the bid for the bathroom repairs in the administration building under consideration. All in favor?
All right.
We'll report back later.
Is that the gentleman from?
Thank you.
Vintage?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, hello.
how you do, sir?
We'll get right back to you. But Nancy.
We'll be in touch, I guess. All right?
Yes.
15, contract award, electricity for the county of Norfolk for a period of 2 years.
Yes, I received email quotes from Interstate Gas Supply and Solidified Energy. I recommend the bid of Interstate Gas Supply, IGS, as they were the lowest quote for email quotes of the amount of 0.1894 per kilowatt for National Grid accounts and 0.1875 per kilowatt for the Eversource accounts. It's for a period of 2 years commencing with the December 2022 billing cycle.
Any questions about this?
I'd move, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, to award the bid to IGS
Yes.
for the two different rates stated for the period of 2 years.
Have we done business with them before?
They're our present supplier, so it'll be a smooth transition.
And that's your recommendation, Nancy?
Yes,
And a
they were
second,
the lower of the two quotes.
second.
Okay, motion made and seconded.
Do you need to
To
read
award
into the record
electricity
the
for
thing?
the
or
period
Ready
of
to
2
sign it.
years.
just sign it?
Just sign.
Yep.
So we can do it all in one whack then? We're not gonna? Can we open a bid at the same day and award it?
No, this is
No.
different.
No,
This is open
I got the
before.
quotes
This is
already.
the contract or what?
This is the contract.
Oh, yes, okay, on the.
They're
on the
just done
contract.
through email quotes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Nancy. I thought. All right, does that conclude our issues with Nancy for today?
IGS will come back next week, maybe a little week after.
Okay, why don't we,
Yeah, we have the night now, and then it'll just be seamless. We'll have no interruption.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks again.
It's like one of the sheets.
And this one?
Commissioner Shea side underneath the two.
The other two are for Joe.
number
Okay.
16, fiscal year 23, second budget amendment,
All right.
adjustment.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Let me distribute a document which we'll read from today, and I'll ask Bill to pull it up on the screen. So as the commissioners may understand, next week we are meeting with the advisory board for our first supplemental budget slash FY23 budget amendment process. We met briefly in August to amend a couple of line items. This will amend at least one line item and supplement several others. This afternoon, this sheet shows something that should look familiar to you. I used the same approach last year to summarize our overall position, and we'll start at the top. Earlier this year, you may have recalled that through the trial balance, the county ended the year with an FY22 surplus of $5,039,425.48. Through this action today, I'm recommending that we distribute those funds in various formats. I will also call out that $600,000 has already been committed to the FY23 budget, which makes the distribution of the remaining $4.439 million available. I'm proposing to transfer $1 million to our stabilization account, which I'll talk about in just a minute. Another $1 million to fund the previously approved FY23 capital spending budget, and $1 million to forward fund the FY24 capital spending plan. This will also allow the county to fund $1.239 million in supplemental needs between now and the end of June. And also recommending a $200,000 contribution to the OPEB liability, which I'll discuss briefly in a minute. So proceeding, this particular surplus, again, rises above $5 million for the second year in a row, although below what we experienced a year ago. It is still a healthy surplus. With respect to the stabilization fund, with this $1 million transfer, our stabilization fund currently sits at $4.937 million, or 14.8% of our operating budget. This transfer will elevate that fund balance, obviously, to $5.937 million, or 17.85% of our operating budget. I call out in the box to the right, Commissioners, that the Abrahams Group report, under Section 4.5, recommended a sound financial practice for the county relative to the stabilization account is to fund that fund at not less than 5% or greater than 20% of our operating budget. So I'm pleased to show that with this contribution, if you show approve, we are inching up towards 18% of our operating budget. It was a very, very healthy stabilization balance. Excuse me. Moving on, the capital spending plans, again, I mentioned that we're looking to fund the FY23 and 24 respectively at $1 million. The supplemental needs with respect to the individual budgets are reported as follows. Under the Information Technology Division, we're requesting a new hire, a network administrator per the Ripples Group. The job description has been drafted by interim CIO Dan Caparata. The working group, the IT director, the IT team has reviewed the job description as well as the human resources director, and we stand ready to ask for funding this position, which will be a new position. We have identified the salary annually to cost approximately $90,000. Because we're so far into FY '23, that cost will go down to $55,384.62. I'm proposing, as I did with all salaries, that this particular cost be a 50-50 split between the county and the Registry of Deeds. We do project this hire to be starting November 1st, 2022. So you'll note some colored cells on this spreadsheet. Where it is green, the funding would be covered by Registry of Deeds excise fund dollars. Where it's not, it's obviously supplemental funds associated with the county. So following the split of the funding for that position, there are several equipment items that have been identified by Mr. Caparata as in need. That includes 2 Ricoh copiers for the Registry of Deeds, 1 plotter for the Registry of Deeds, and 1 virtual host server for the Registry of Deeds. Those items total approximately $94,192. I'll talk in a minute about some options associated with the technology request when we get down to the registry. Let me proceed with Wallaston Golf Course. As you may know, we are proceeding with the improvements at the playground. Previously, the county had appropriated $100,000. The project was bid and approved at $175,000. The state had provided a $75,000 earmark, but we don't expect to see that money from the state until later in the fiscal year. But the project has been begun, and we're expecting it to end in October. So we're going to need $75,000 to sort of float and meet our obligation to pay for the completion of that job by the end of October. When we receive the earmark, that'll clear out and become a wash.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
The commissioners may also know that on Granite Street, we've had a sign problem.
Granted that.
I'm sorry, Granite Ave. Thank you. The gentleman from
Milton.
The gentleman from Milton has been heard. We have a sign that has been a problem, and we have received bids from a firm. We're approximately $4,600 short because the new sign will be located on the course itself and needs new footings that weren't previously envisioned. And those footings will cost the delta of $4,600. The golf course also experienced a irrigation line, very large irrigation line failure in July. That particular project impacted their hardware and plumbing supplies negligently to the tune of $10,000 for the repair. I actually was there the day that the line failed, and it was pretty big. It was the main irrigation line. Now, back to the Registry of Deeds. Earlier, I don't recall the dates. I can get them if you wish. I have them in my folder. The Register sent over a request to fund 2 items from Deeds Excise. One to promote $60,000 for legal services, and another $32,000 for legislative advocacy services. In both cases, the Register had asked for these items to be funded from Deeds Excise. A little over a week ago, as a result of the year-end trial balance exercise, I had done some analysis of the Registry of Deeds appropriation for FY '23. The commissioners may recall that when the preparation was made for that budget, we built the particular appropriation on the projected spending for the Registry of Deeds. Now we know the actual spending. So when you take the actual spending and you adhere to the general law, we must promote it by 2.5% of the prior year spending. So using that prior year spending, I am now projecting that the appropriation for FY '23, should be increased by $190.51. I had submitted this information to the Register on Tuesday, August 30th, requesting that if he had any interest in asking how this additional money should be spent, I would appreciate a response back by September 1st. I have not heard from the Register on how he would like to expend the additional funds. Based on that information, I proposed for the commissioners this afternoon, to consider moving the network administrator costs and the equipment under the information technology that are exclusively for the registry, totaling $94,192, to be placed against the appropriation that is now proposed to be increased for FY '23. I'll pause for a moment if the commissioners have any questions before I proceed with the rest of this. Are we good? Shall I proceed?
I have none.
Keep going? Commissioner Stady, you okay? Want me to keep going?
Can you go back on that a little bit just to make sure I'm clear too?
Okay.
So you I know you tried to contact the registrar. You did not hear back. So, but based on the law and based on the percentage, I have 94,192. What's 94,192? Could you explain what
Sure.
it is again?
Yes, I can. The FY23 proposed appropriation, which is currently what's on our accounting system and passed on May 11th, is $3,421,869.75. That was approved on May 11th,
Okay.
based on projected spending.
Mm-hmm.
So when we looked at actual spending and increased it by 2.5%, his adjusted FY23 appropriation shall go up to $3,516,062.26.
Or
So the-
95,000, 94,000 more.
Exactly.
Okay. So what did you say? You were attributing that to the registry IT person? And
Yes, I would
Of course.
propose an option that would fund the 50% of the FY23 cost of the network administrator
Right.
and the 3 pieces of equipment.
okay, that adds up to 94.
Yes, it does.
All right. What about the registry of deed, legal service and advocacy?
That could also be an option. The registrar, when he had originally asked for that, just asked for it to be supplemental funding from the Registry of Deeds excise fund itself.
Right.
So it's 6 of 1 basically, but I'm looking to do 2 things. Number one, I need your approval to update the FY23 appropriation for the registry.
Right.
And also your approval to find spending authority for the items under the technology division
Mhm.
in consideration separately or some other way for the registrar's ideas.
Okay.
They're both coming from the same fund.
Okay.
Some expenses can be assigned to the appropriation. Some, if you decide to fund them, can be supplemented from the Registry of Deeds excise fund.
Okay.
Okay,
I got it.
shall I proceed?
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Thank you.
So moving on, the Norfolk County Agricultural High School, one item. We are proposing a feasibility study for the new cafeteria, $100,000. The cafeteria, as I understand from the superintendent, the building itself is in very difficult shape. It doesn't currently perform up to standards that are required. The schools envision an estimate of cost, usage, and future needs through a feasibility study to look at the property in which it sits. Can the building be rehabbed? Or if not, what would the cost be for building a new one? This feasibility study would obviously provide the county and the schools with an idea of how to pursue its next step for this building. But from what I understand, after speaking with the superintendent, it is beyond useful life. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on. Maintenance.
Did the trustees act on that?
No,
Oh, okay.
not yet. No, this came through dialogue with the superintendent.
Okay. Wouldn't the trustees have to move on that?
They can.
first, or what?
They can.
Just thought.
Yep.
Thank you.
Maintenance. So maintenance division has several items. As you just heard, we're soliciting quotes for renovating the restrooms here at 614 High Street. Last fiscal year, we attempted to try to find bidders or workers on state contract to do this work. We were unsuccessful. We found that the market was really, as I think it needs indicated, superheated with work, and so the demand was outpacing the supply of available vendors to do the work. We were encouraged to bid it as a general contract job rather than targeting a plumber or a specialist in this area. So consequently, you just heard her recommendation, or actually her report of the bid of just about $125,000. So I will have to amend this request, which currently estimated before that was read at $100,000. So that will have to now be $125,000 if the commissioners are so inclined to support that. Brookline District Court. I have a typo there. Quincy District Court has a Freon recharging issue on the cooling system that will cost $18,431. This is maintaining the system they have and recharging with Freon. Brookline District Court, gutters and downspouts. We have a quote that came in at $163,050. We performed a site visit to that facility, I think last winter. We saw they had a tremendous amount of problems with ice dripping water over the right side of the building. The gutters are in very difficult shape. The gutters and downspouts, as you can imagine, in that building are all carpet clad. They're high quality, and consequently, I think the price reflects the value of the product that we'll be putting on that building. Excuse me. The Rentham District Court, I'm just estimating $100,000 broadly for the kind of exterior work that's envisioned. That includes painting and carpentry of all the woodwork around the windows, the facade, the side of the building, and other areas. That item is currently, we're waiting a quote, and that will be revised when we get an actual number. But for now, it's just an estimate. Moving down, Stoughton District Court, this is a firm quote of $13,300 to improve security and lighting. The registry boiler repair, which happened in FY22, wrapped up, it was completed, but we owe $23,900 to complete that job. There are two items for the River Place building, also known as the Blue House across the street. We're looking to pay for the cost of the windows that have been ordered. That would be $7,978. Excuse me. The install will be done by facility management staff throughout the winter primarily. The painting of the house, you heard the bids last week. We're carrying $17,500. The Superior Court power washing, this cost appears high, and I want to explain that the type of power washing that is needed to remove the rust stains on the front of Superior Court requires a special geohydro, I believe it's called, power washing, which penetrates the granite steps in a way that a conventional power washing won't do. It was attempted and it had no effect. So we need to step up the game, and this particular cost, I think, reflects the specialty of that labor. And then finally, $34,649.75 for various masonry work at Rentham, Dedham, Superior Court. The commissioners may recall Rentham's front steps have quite a lot of missing pointing. Similarly, at Superior Court, same thing, a lot of repointing there. Dedham has some issues with I believe it's a side step and some other granite areas that are in need of masonry work. That is a hard, firm quote. Excuse me. And finally, the treasurer, that's a firm quote to install a new drop ceiling, similar to what you see in our environment up here at $17,199. The ceiling that they have downstairs will be encapsulated or kept in place. It's old, and some of the ceiling tiles have been falling out. We're going to carry, as we did in FY22, a contingency, in this case of $62,000 or 10% of all capital items. We still are seeing some unpredictability in the market for products due to the supply stream concerns and some inflation. So we actually made use of some of this flexibility last year to get some of our jobs done without having to come back to have them reauthorized. So the contingency allows us to flex our ability to get some of this work done. The total amount proposed to be spent, again, includes a couple of estimates, as well as a $75,000 cost that we'll get back from the state. But projected spending is $924,493.57, of which $167,192.51 would be funded from Registry of Deeds excise. The total adjusted spending would then be $757 against that 1.2 I mentioned earlier, for a total available balance for the remainder of the year of just under $500,000 of $482,123.
Does that count in the 75,000?
No,
So actually, the real
it'll go
number
up.
might be a little bit higher.
That's
right?
correct. Yep,
Okay.
that's correct. So I'll move forward now with the rest of this presentation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. The OPEB contribution, our liability currently sits at actually that's a misstatement. It's $54,976,593. Our operating budget, as you know, for the last several years has carried an operating contribution of $100,000. So that's being made in FY23. I'm proposing through the supplemental that we add to it, just like we did last fiscal year, by $200,000 to bring the liability down. There's a call-out box here just to simply state that our auditors and other external financial advisors want to see contributions made to liability on a regular and recurring basis. They don't like to see 100 now, skip a year, 100 then, skip a year, 50,000, skip a year. They don't like that. They want to see a commitment towards the liability payment, recognizing that this particular liability is very large. It will take some time for it to close, but the auditors are quite comfortable that as long as we're showing a regular and recurring payment, they're happy. And it does not affect our operating. All right. Observations ahead, just, and I will note this to the advisory board as well. The Dedham Superior Court will be dedicated on October 16, 2022 to former Congressman William Delahunt. The county capital and ARPA plan now includes boiler systems for Rentham District Court. I spoke about that earlier. We're going to try to have meeting with the state to collaborate on ways to select the most efficient program for that project. The county has completed approximately 33% of its financial service contract with the Abrahams Group. The work remaining includes the FY24 budget prep and infinite visions, as well as new internal control plan, which Mark Abrahams is working on right now. I actually been seeing some traffic from him as he works with some of our stakeholders in county government. The Quincy District Court site appraisal is completed. The county has engaged the Commonwealth for next steps while adhering to Mass General laws, and I'll talk about that in my director's report in just a minute. The county has contracted with the Collins Group to prepare a new employee handbook. The product will replace the 1987 version and align with school policies and collective bargaining agreements. We've had some preliminary conversations with the Collins Group, who appear to have achieved some kind of a draft, and we're looking to speak with them later this week about where they stand. The county has been in negotiations with 3 ASME units for new 3-year contracts. We project the agreements will be reached sometime this fall of 2022, and we will coordinate the financial impact with the advisory board chair for the timing of the next advisory board meeting. Incidentally, I see John Wallace with us. I just want to acknowledge that earlier this week I spoke to Superintendent John Martin. The schools are anxious to get their non-union and budgets aligned as a result of their proposed FY23 spending. They understand that moving in unison with the county's contracts probably is beneficial, but we're hoping together that our collective bargaining agreements on the county side will come to closure sometime this fall, and we can call for a meeting with the advisory board, hopefully before December, if they're open for it, to rectify any of the retroactive costs of those contracts. And then finally, we'd like to call out the fact that the Wallace Recreation Facility is undergoing a substantial amount of investment, including the new playground, which will open this fall in October, date to be determined. The previous county appropriation coupled with state earmark will fund this new feature. And additional improvements include a new maintenance facility roof, extensive new paving of the lots, and hopefully a new course restroom. So that is my proposal to the commissioners for the upcoming supplemental and budget modifications for FY23.
And this is going before the board on the 14th.
It would be, yes, with your approval.
Commission.
With your permission. Great job. Yeah, very, very
My
thorough.
compliments to the department heads who also really strongly collaborated on this
Well
project.
done.
Thank
A
you.
couple of questions
Yes, sir.
and a point. So in summary, if we go forward on this, we would have roughly a little under $500,000 of supplemental money to operate the rest of the year. Am I right in saying that?
That's correct.
Okay, so respectfully, just a point, we're making an OPEB payment of $100,000 a year, and you're choosing to make an additional payment of $200,000.
Mhm.
I'd rather hold on that. We could always go back if things are good and make another payment, maybe in January, February. But I would maybe respectfully suggest we don't do that. Maybe back off 100 and keep 100 extra in case something comes up,
Mhm.
especially where we don't have all the contracts done and some other things are out there that have question marks. Just my point of view. That's all. I've said that respectfully.
Yep.
You know.
That's definitely a choice we can do at any
Yeah, I
time.
mean, you can do it anytime.
Yep.
Nothing saying, I mean, February, especially in lieu of other things that are happening, Quincy Court and all those other moving pieces, maybe we make even a bigger piece. But I'm saying, I'd rather prefer that to be a little less.
Yeah, to your point, Commissioner, I did look at the number, and when it was originally presented, I thought it was a little high, and I compared it to last year's first supplemental,
Mhm.
and I believe we totaled about $630,000 for the first supplemental.
Mm,
So if you back off the 75 from what we're projecting at 757, we're in the same similar
Same
unit
similar
of about 650,
Yeah.
675 as we were a year ago.
Which isn't bad,
But
which isn't good. We
so
got through.
we're in the same space as we were last year, but if it's the commissioner's desire to postpone the OPEB contribution and leave it as a standing surplus, we can do that. That's your choice.
That's just my thought. That's all. I'm just saying maybe we hold back a little bit and we can always do it again. So I'm not against making that contribution. I see the value in that. I respect that. And of course, it's going to help our bond rating when we can do that. I get the whole, that I understand, but I'm just saying maybe hold off on that. The other thing, explain to me, Ken, I'm missing something probably,
Okay.
a little more coffee. We've got a fiscal year 23 capital spending of $1 million. And then you have fiscal 24 capital budget forward. So what I'm missing something there. What am I missing? I'm trying to clarify.
We're forward funding our capital budget for next year with this surplus.
Oh, okay. So we're robbing Peter. We're paying Peter with
Yes.
this money.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's correct.
So we're going to have a positive impact on the following year's budget.
That's
then.
correct.
Okay,
That's
interesting. That's what I thought.
Mhm.
That's legal? We can do that?
Yes, I spoke to,
Interesting.
I believe Joe's still on the call.
Okay.
We had a conversation about this. My intent is to hold basically $2 million in the capital fund for FY '23.
Mhm.
We have the spending authority for 1 million or half of it.
Mhm.
The balance will revert into FY '24.
Okay, now let me ask you a question. Again, we have the consultant report based on Abraham's report, and I'm sure we're supposed to be using that as a guide. Does that make sense to put aside that much? Again, I'm being maybe conservative here. Could we maybe forward fund 500,000 and tuck a little more in reserve in case we need it, or?
We could.
Because what are the handicaps in doing capital? We can only move it in a certain way, under a certain vote.
Yep.
Am I correct on that? With the legal
Uh,
stabilization, you can always move that money out.
I would argue that it's more fluid if we assign it to capital than you would if you put it in stabilization.
Okay,
Simply because any withdrawal from stabilization, you're reaching into your stabilization because you've reached a level of financial distress.
Mhm.
You're in exigency, and that, as the saying goes, it's raining. You've had significant drops in projected revenue. You want to save jobs. You have to pay bills and obligations.
Mhm.
When you withdraw from stabilization, it's a red flag. People are asking, why are you doing that? You must have a good idea, good reason to do that.
okay.
I wouldn't say it's as permissible to go into stabilization when you need it.
So if we
It's
put a
more
million in
fluid.
a forward fund capital, and again, I'm saying worst case, we run into a snag, it's easy to take some of that
Yes.
back.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I want to, last year,
Interesting.
for example, we had a similar arrangement. We had projected to use $1 million in our surplus to offset the capital costs of the school's debt.
Mhm.
We were going into a debt issuance, as you may recall, and there was an idea that we'd pay cash with this to offset the cost of the debt. And later we were advised, don't do that. But we carried that debt throughout fiscal year '22, and that value reverted. So this is basically the same function of carrying the surplus into next fiscal year, giving us more flexibility financially.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you. The only modification I would have would be on the OPEB contribution. I'd like to see that maybe modified, but I leave it to my colleagues, and I'm
Question.
willing to work with you.
If we were to reduce the additional OPEB contribution, would that affect your reserve plans? Because I know you had some ideas as to how to address these reserves.
So if you mean not do it at all or defer it?
No, is deferring it, does that match up with your plans?
No, I can just hold it and present it as a obligation to fund in December or
Okay.
April.
All right, terrific.
If that's what the commissioners choose.
Okay.
There just won't be a vote taken to move it. I'll just carry it into the appropriate time frame, and we'll.
But it might change the numbers a little bit, right? By my,
On the form,
On the
yes,
form here, a
yes,
little bit.
yes. That's okay. That's the
This
math.
form?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so, all right.
There's going to be some modifications to that form. We'll talk about that in a second.
Okay. So do you want a motion now to amend the fiscal year 23?
I yield to the chairman,
Mr.
but
Chairman.
sure.
Sure, I do. All right, okay. Motion to amend the fiscal year 23 registry of deeds appropriation from $3,421,869.75 to $516,062.26.
A second.
On the motion, any further discussion?
That's about the statutory increase, right?
Correct.
Right.
All in favor?
Aye.
It is unanimous. Thank you.
Now, we should act on the budget request, right?
Correct.
Right. So I'm
So
grappling with the number here.
I know.
I know why I screwed it up.
Well, that's okay. That's why we have Phil Antos.
Right.
So
Um,
one of the first things I would like to do is to amend, based on what Nancy just said. Now I know the commissions haven't awarded the contract, but this is just planning. Under maintenance, I had estimated the High Street restroom cost to be $100,000. I would like to make that $125,000.
Right, that's gonna go up 25.
Okay, the bid was what, 114?
Yeah,
124 and some change.
124.
yeah, it's 124. So,
Yeah, I think it makes sense to
yeah.
base it up. It's gonna
And-
do it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think before you, Commissioner State, if I may,
Yeah.
before you make any motion, I should say, to approve the supplemental, we should have a conversation about whether or not the commissioners are interested in deferring the OPEB contribution, because that money will pull back. You won't be assigning it to the OPEB liability. We'll pull it back into surplus. Because right now in the form, it's shown as being put towards the OPEB liability.
On this.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think the chair needs to find a consensus that the commissioners are interested in deferring that or not.
That's fine. You want to make
Yeah.
that motion? That's fine.
Yeah, I'd make a motion that on the presented fiscal 2023 supplemental budget, that we amend it to reflect a pullback on OPEB by 100,000, or 200,000,
200,000.
200,000.
I second.
Yeah, whatever the total would come out to.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote, unanimous.
Okay. Commissioner Shea, if I could ask, normally we would, at this point, ask for the commissioner's approval to fund the supplemental transfers and other related items associated with this first FY23 action, and have that motion done today in preparation of next week's advisory board meeting. Based on some of the changes that were made, I'd respectfully ask the opportunity if we could revisit this next week at your meeting and have you vote on the total dollar number, so that we can give you a clean sheet with a clean number, and not do this on the fly,
And we'll be ready to go next week.
Yeah, I mean, you're.
Okay, I agree. I don't disagree.
No, because you got to change the,
Once we're ready to go, and
you got one change on the app, on the maintenance.
And there's a chance we may have some updates on the Rentham District Court work and other estimates. So
Okay.
if that's okay with you, we can table this
It is.
until next week, and we'll have a better sheet as a result.
so
of some of
this
the
item
changes.
will also, fiscal 23 second budget adjustment will go carry over till next week.
Correct. But I will ask if the commissioners are interested in this point separately of giving me an idea of which option they choose to fund the registry's increased spending. Do they wish to support funding the registrar's request for additional legal services and legislative services? Do they, or leave it alone? Or do they wish to support option 2, which is shown on your first page, or half of the network administrator and the equipment shown? The total is $94,192. So effectively, what you're doing is if you vote option 1, you would be funding the registrar's ask for legal and legislative services to go in under his FY23 appropriation. That's option 1. Okay. Option 2 would be to take the items that I'm recommending and put them under his spending appropriation. And that would be it for his appropriation. It would still leave his request for $60,000 for legal services and $32,000 for advocacy services for your consideration for separate funding from the Registry of Deeds Excise Fund as he originally asked. You could do one and not the other.
Is that a vote today or not a vote?
That's up to you.
That's okay.
If you want to think about it,
No,
that's fine.
that option's appealing though. So that makes sense. It makes sense to me. The IT should be funded. There's clearly, the IT being assigned the way you're doing it.
That's the network administrator,
Network administrator.
2 copiers, or
Right.
copier, yeah,
Okay.
and 1 plot.
That would be funded by the increase.
Spending authority
Spending authority, which we just voted.
with Deeds Excise funding. That's
Okay,
correct.
there you 94,000.
That's
Am I right on that?
That you are correct.
Okay, okay, that kind of makes sense.
Mhm.
And then the other thing, in terms of the legal and the consultant, how could we do that?
So when the registrar sent in his request
Right.
to have these items considered,
Yes,
he was not aware that he had basically a surplus to fund it against. In his letters, he asked for the items to be funded from deeds excise revenue, which is supplemental.
okay.
Right? He's looking for supplemental funding
Mhm.
from the balance of that account, separate and distinct from the spending authority of this account.
I'll make a motion.
Um,
Go
I
ahead.
need to, okay, I'll second the motion.
Okay, my motion is for option 2. Expend funds against half of network administrator cost, $27,692.31, plus $25,000 copiers, plus $22,500 for 1 plotter, $19,000 to replace virtual host server, which equals a total amount of $94,192.51.
Okay,
On the motion, do we have a second?
I did second it.
Commissioners.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Any further discussion?
All in favor?
Aye.
It is unanimous, 3-0. Thank you.
Now, what about the item of the legal and the consulting services?
So I would respectfully request that you put that off until next week when you look at the rest of these items.
Right.
If you wish to fund those, they would come as the registrar requested from Registry Deeds Excise.
Okay.
All right.
Is he aware of that? Was that communicated to him?
That was his request.
That was his request.
Yeah,
Okay.
his original ask.
Okay.
So you can put that off till next week. If you want, we
Yeah.
can vote it now.
No,
Sorry.
because there's a lot of information.
Yes, I
And,
understand. I
But I
know.
think I've got my head wrapped around what the first one. It makes sense to us, so.
But
it's fine.
we'll
We'll need
update.
cleaner numbers too.
Yep, we're going to clean this up
Right.
and the form to your right, Commissioner, so it reflects what I believe is the intention to defer
Right.
the OPEB contribution, updated numbers on the 614 High Street restrooms, and any other updates on quotes. We'll refresh those and get those to you next week for your consideration.
Okay, good.
Okay, we'll give this back to you.
Yeah,
It has one
Yeah.
signature on
I
it.
signed it.
No worries.
Okay, thank you, John. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
16, we did it.
Good.
17, we did. 18, report of the county director.
Just a few items, Mr. Chairman. As the commissioners know, the appraisal for Quincy District Court has been received and accepted by the commissioners. I contacted Ms. Heidi Green from the Department of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance last week and told her that we were in receipt of our appraisal. I did not share it with her, but I expressed an interest in engaging the Commonwealth in the next steps for the disposition of Quincy District Court. I received an email that had some direction from her on her expected next steps. They reached out to Attorney Scott Lopez to have a conversation with him about planning a strategy on how the county ought to prepare for our dialogue with the Commonwealth based on that email. And I will be speaking with Scott tomorrow afternoon at 2:00. I'll keep you informed.
Timelines look pretty reasonable. I mean, in terms of
Yeah,
what you provided
right,
what
I
you
would
provided
agree.
to us, it's all.
As expected, right? I
Yeah,
mean, we're
that's, you know,
talking,
but-
each step had months associated with it. You can understand why these things take time. Yeah.
It could be foreseeable to wrap it up in a very
Yeah.
timely manner.
Yeah, it's a lot churning there.
Mhm.
Just a reminder to all employees and individuals who access 614 High Street tomorrow, our new security protocol will be in place. Please have your fobs available to gain access to the building. If you do not have it, you may use the call button downstairs after 8:00. The door will unlock on the outside. You'll be allowed entry into the trapdoor area. If you don't have a fob or you're here to be sworn in for notary or some other means or business, hit the button and it will activate at the front desk. Our new employee, Marianne Cansano, will buzz you in happily. The
What's
same,
Is that for this building or all of our buildings?
it's for this building, this floor, as well as the treasury. They have their own button downstairs as well.
Okay.
So we have a secure building now.
All right, good.
Well, our fob let them into the treasury building, part of the building.
Can you repeat that?
So, okay, so my fob will let me into the commissioner's part
Sweet.
upstairs, yeah.
Mhm.
Can I go into the treasurer's office with that, or they have to buzz me in?
They have to buzz you in.
Okay, that's fine.
Next item, last week, Assistant Director Buckley and I took a walk over to the River Place work that's being done on the drainage. It's quite impressive. I want to extend my thanks to Patrick Higgins for taking the lead on coordinating this work with the vendor. The drainage is substantial and clearly much needed. It will last another 100, maybe 200 years based on the infrastructure improvements they made down on that property.
That's good news.
That'll clear out a lot of the drainage issues from the main lot.
That might cover our terms, I don't know.
I don't know, we'll see.
Just a reminder, I'm going, as we stated, going to Stoughton tomorrow, District Court with Commissioner Stady. And I want to also just, again, acknowledge we're going to see our new HR specialist, Marianne Cassano of Walpole, joining us on Monday. We're quite excited. Great candidate. Very happy we landed her. I suspect next week you will have at least one, possibly two additional new hires that we're working on, and more on that later. A lot of activity going on.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other questions of the county director? Number 19, emergency items topics that chair did not reasonably anticipate.
Just.
I have one. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we have John here. John Wallace is here. Could I ask you, is the date for the Aggie Board meeting Monday? That is it?
Is that the date you wanted to move or something like that?
Well,
Yes,
we couldn't do it on the 14th because we got the,
I asked for Tuesday, but I just wanted to make
Oh,
sure.
The 12th.
It is
It's
Monday?
Monday, the 12th. Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. I shall be there.
I'll be
We'll
there
move
too.
some things around. Just checking. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What was your thing?
I want to draw your attention to a letter dated September 7th from Registrar O'Donnell regarding Registry of Deeds union negotiations. I'm going to just refer it, unless you have any questions about it, to the director. You got a copy, I see?
OCC, yes.
Okay. I mean, we're always mindful of negotiations, so needless to say. And
I briefly read the registrar's letter, Commissioner. I don't have a lot to report other than to state that I might have some contextual disagreement with the presentation of the facts. The registrar has been kept up to date and involved in the negotiations all along. I'll be happy to report to the commissioners exactly what dates and what information has been shared, but we are actively involved in negotiations with 3 unions. We have been moving along, pressing along every month, having meetings. I believe the history of Norfolk County is that these negotiations tend to last long, and some of them have settled well into the fall. So I don't really have much more to say against the registrar's letter, other than I politely disagree with his presentation of the facts, but he's entitled to his opinion.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, I just want to make note of it, and I'll put it in the file. Any other questions? I have nothing else. Commissioners, do you have anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
How about that? 2:15, second.
Motion to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Thank you very much. We have a full meeting.